Sorry, now that I'm getting to be a middle-aged man, I just have to check my pros. My Apple iPhone 17 Pros. We've got the Pro and the Pro Max, and it's like Apple is trying to get me to switch to an iPhone. They even did one in my color. It's hideous, but that's okay. We don't care about that, and we don't care about the fact that Apple includes almost no accessories with their phones anymore. Just a simple USB 2 Type-C to Type-C, and a piece of paper that says you no longer need a SIM card. Or a USB-C to 3.5mm adapter, or any of the things that Apple used to include in the box. But hey, you're gonna like it anyway because these things look flipping sick. Around the outside, we've got two Trailer Park Girls. We've got Apple's new aluminum unibody frame that they claim, along with their new redesigned vapor chamber, gives them better cooling than any iPhone before, and perhaps more importantly, if you are a professional user, more battery life than any iPhone before, with the Pro Max measuring, and this is crazy, 26 hours of continuous video playback streamed in the real world on a single charge. That is nuts. These really are, in my mind, the first iPhone Pros that are for professionals, not just people who cosplay as professional or enthusiasts who just wanna have, smoother screen swiping or whatever the case may be. And the biggest part of that is the cameras. All three, the main shooter, the ultra wide, and the telephoto are 48 megapixels, so there's not a single one that they've cheaped out on with the pixel count. And perhaps more importantly, they have support for Apple Log 2, along with professional nice to haves like improved time sync with Genlog. So if you are running a production where you've got a whole bunch of different cameras and microphones in your ecosystem, and you're trying to sync it all up on the timeline after the fact, you will finally be able to do it with the iPhone 17 Pro. This is potentially a game changer for us around here because I'm looking at this going, why would I ever buy another action cam? They're IP rated, so I can take them freaking underwater. They have an outstanding built-in mic, so in terms of getting scratch audio, boom, I'm taken care of there. Like, seriously, give me a reason. Oh, right, the price. 1,100 bucks? But that's gonna get you only 256 gigs of storage, which for Apple is pretty good for a starting at configuration. But if you want the 1 terabyte for the 17 Pro, you're gonna be spending $1,500 US. And if you want the 2 terabyte spec for the 17 Pro Max, that'll set you back a cool $2,000. I'm getting ahead of myself a little bit though. Let's have a look at the I/O. On the bottom of all of them, you get a USB 3 Type-C port that can do up to 10 gigabit per second. Unlike the Air, you get a bottom speaker. Thank you very much, Apple. It's good that you didn't completely take it away. On the right, you get a lock button as well as camera button. Personally, I don't really like it for the shutter, but I like having a quick launch button so that I can quickly open up my camera. Wish it had a touch sensor in it, but hey, whatever, that's a conversation for another time. Over on the left side, you've got your action button. Just hold that down and go to silent or ring or whatever you'd like to configure it to, as long as it's one of Apple's authorized things, as well as your volume rocker. And then on the top, you've got, I guess that's just an antenna spot for the unibody to go along with their antenna stripes all over the place. With all that out of the way, it's time to take a look at the display. This is Apple's best yet, with them claiming 3,000 nits maximum brightness outdoors and up to 1,600 nits max in HDR content, with what is perhaps more important to me, a minimum level of just 1 nit if you use their reduce white point mode. This is great for when it's late at night and you don't want to freaking sear the backs of your retinas. We weren't quite able to reach Apple's claimed 3,000 nits, but we got darn close, and we think it could have to do with our methodology, just because they do have a couple of ambient light sensors, and getting both of them exposed to direct daylight in order to get it to boost to maximum can be a little tricky. As with the last few generations of iPhone Pros, you get an up to, I hate trains, up to 120 hertz maximum refresh rate ProMotion display, which, unlike previous generations of iPhones, does not set the Pro apart from the regular non-Pro iPhone 17, meaning that unless you really value the extra camera lens and the extra camera features, there's actually not that much to set the Pro model apart from the regular iPhone 17. Oh, other than the processor, of course. It uses the A19 Pro rather than the regular A19. But we'll talk about that in a minute after this message from our sponsor. Oh, it's dbrand. That kind of figures. Every other time we call up dbrand, it's like, oh no, I couldn't possibly, I'm far too poor. You know, I'm only in Best Buy now, selling out like immediately, and they can't keep the product in stock, but, oh, it's an iPhone. Oh, now all of a sudden we can find the money. Sure, you know what, dbrand? I'm fine with it. They sent over their new Ghost 2.0 case. It stays clear longer than you will stay alive. What a weird, uncomfortable thing to say about your product. Oh yeah, I didn't even know what this one was. I was like, oh, that looks and feels cheap. I kind of figured it, I thought maybe dbrand had fallen off. Like, look at this bottom. Like, you couldn't even finish your case? How can Apple be a company that prides itself so much on design and materials, and then let dbrand, some upstart 2-bit ass company from Toronto, outcompete them to this level? Get yours today at mybossisashortnarcissisticasshole.com.
Or shortlinus.com.
Nope, I'm gonna make them buy it. Anyway, coming back to the performance, the A19 Pro SoC outperforms literally any other phone that isn't also called iPhone 17 Pro or iPhone 17 Pro Max. Both of these managed to perform within, I think it's about 1% of each other, basically across the board. And impressively, while we did note that both phones did thermal throttle under extended load, what we did see was a bit of a slower decay curve compared to what we're used to seeing. So if you have a sustained load, whether it's a game or some kind of professional application, you should expect to have a longer period of quite high performance before it trails off to the minimum. With that said, even the minimum performance that we saw out of these phones was extremely impressive compared to anything that isn't each other, and especially compared to the Pixel 10 Pro. My goodness. Like, it's freaking embarrassing that Google is this far behind on CPU, GPU, basically anything you. On the Qualcomm side of things, it's a little bit less humiliating, with the Galaxy S25 Edge managing to hang with the A19 Pro sometimes, but even then, it wasn't that close. Now, it is worth noting, the S25 Edge is not the ideal comparison to these phones. We tested that because we had the iPhone Air unboxing to do, and also because Samsung doesn't usually leave their phones with us, so we didn't have any other S whatever Ultras kicking around. Samsung, we've talked about this. I told you this was gonna happen. The point is, if you want the utmost in mobile performance, A19 Pro is it. And if you want more details on how it is, we're gonna have the lab's website linked down below where you can check out their accompanying article. They'll also have a bunch more information about charging. In general, we were able to validate most of Apple's claims with respect to charging speed. We got about 40 watts max on the Pro Max and about 30 watts max on the regular Pro, and both of them charged to full in about 2 hours, which doesn't sound that impressive in this day and age, except that they both reached about 50% in just about 20 minutes. I know that's a lot of abouts. If you want more details, you can go check that out. The point is, Apple kind of reduces the charging power aggressively toward the end, which is better for your battery, but does mean that topping all the way up might be done overnight. Now let's play around with the camera, and I'm expecting this thing to be flipping awesome. Is it supposed to be any different from the Air for just, you know, the main shooter? Doesn't really seem any different. Let's try the telephoto though. I wanna try the telephoto. Hello, Mr. Bellevance. That's actually far from the best performance I've seen on this, in terms of not being all washed out and crappy looking. In terms of sharpness though, my God. It's so unfair for Apple, because if it was anyone else, like if I was holding a Vivo phone or something, I'd be blown away right now. I'd be so impressed. But with Apple, I expect it to be really good. And so when it's anything other than head and shoulders above anything else I've ever seen, then I'm just not that impressed. It's like, it's rough to be on top, hey Apple? It's great, obviously, but there are areas that I'm looking at going like, yeah, that TV's not pink. Even just here on the set, there's a couple of little things that I'm looking for, and that's one of them. So, like any smartphone camera, it's gonna be a little situational. It does a pretty poor job of this, and it's a shame because you can actually see it looks better in the live photo before they apply their processing, and then it just looks like crap. Man, I'm excited for the video camera though. Like, some of this is just flippin' unnecessary. Does anybody really need to do 4K, 120 frames per second Dolby Vision? Anyone? Bueller? But with this, you can. You won't be storing a ton of that unless you spring for like a 1 terabyte or a 2 terabyte model. Give me that smoothness. But damn! Also, I know some people didn't really like liquid glass. They call it like liquid ass or whatever. I love it. I love this. This is so cool. Ah! Holy shit. Like every time I'm looking at an Android phone, I like to look at like the Android jutter. Like none of them handle stabilization like Apple does. It's so smooth. It looks like I have it on like a gimbal or something. And if I want even more stabilization than this, it has an action mode that will apply even more. That is really impressive. You know what I'd rather talk about right now? The selfie camera. This thing is freaking awesome. It uses a new 18 megapixel square sensor that, using Apple Intelligence, will automatically frame either in portrait or landscape, depending on what is best for the current situation. So it'll have a look and go, oh yeah, you're holding your phone in portrait right now, but there's a whole bunch of people crowding in to get into the picture. Boom, it'll crop it landscape, make it wider, and you can snap your picture. I actually took this picture on the Air, but the entire iPhone 17 family and the Air features the same front-facing camera, and I freaking love it. It's awesome. I mean, I might as well take a picture or two on the Pro. I don't know why it went wide there. There, let's just not go wide. Okay, so it doesn't always make the best decisions. That is an extremely wide and worse selfie. Man, the Pro Max is big. They both feel so heavy compared to the Air. Oh, we should try the speakers. That's one thing that could convince me to get these instead of the Air. The speakers on the Air are so bad, or should I say, speaker. As usual, the iPhone Pro is better than any phone has any right to be, although I wouldn't say that this is a night and day difference over last gen by any stretch of the imagination. How's the Max? Yeah, for better or for worse, the difference between the 17 Pro and the Pro Max has never been less. It pretty much just boils down to more battery life on the Pro Max, a bigger screen, and of course, up to 2 terabytes instead of just 1 terabyte of storage. But that's not a bad thing. They're kind of the best iPhones ever. Apple's new Ceramic Shield 2 is the first front glass and is present across this entire generation of iPhones that has ever led Zach from Jerry Rig Everything to say anything other than scratches lightly at level 6 with deeper scratches at 7. Instead, it's lightly at 7 with deeper scratches at 8. That's kind of flipping incredible. They've all got Wi-Fi 7, Bluetooth 6. We've got faster MagSafe charging than ever before, up to
25 watts
on the Pro models, along with the return of some of Apple's really cool emergency features like detecting a severe crash and contacting authorities, or allowing you to contact an emergency contact via satellite if you are lost and not able to get cellular signal. None of that is unique enough to drive me to switch to the iPhone. I have to give credit to that to iOS 26. It looks freaking awesome. Apple has slowly but surely been chipping away at all the little things that have kept me off of it. We have T9 dialing now. We can put desktop icons anywhere we freaking want to for the most part. And they've got a bunch of really cool new stuff. Their call screening looks amazing. My phone doesn't even ring for an unknown number until they've stated their purpose to an Apple AI. And I hate sitting on hold. Yes, it's not a new feature, but it's new to Apple, and being able to have my phone just tell me, yeah, they're ready to talk to you. Oh, absolute lifesaver. So I have a plan. I'm gonna switch to iPhone for 30 days again, but I'm gonna do it a little bit differently this time. I'm gonna put 3 different iPhones in my pocket: the regular 17, the Air, and one of the Pros, and see which one I gravitate to over the course of the month. Make sure you're subscribed to LTT so you can check that out, and make sure you subscribe to ShortCircuit.